Good morning, my name is Marta Ortiz. I'm doing my PhD at the University of Seville. Specifically, I'm a member of the Cognition and Language Diversity Lab. First of all, I would like to thank the committee for the organization of the conference. And having said that, I'm going to start with the presentation of the work entitled A Pilot Study of an Online Gaming-Based Reading Comprehension Monitoring Intervention. To open the presentation, I will explain the structure I will follow. The work consists of a brief introduction, objective, methodology, result, conclusion, limitation, and future approaches. As an introduction, in the current literature, we can find that deaf and hard of hearing students tend to have reading comprehension score below those of their hearing peers. Because of this, we consider it is necessary to intervene to improve the results. The intervention we decided to carry out was a gaming-based adaptation of the reading comprehension monitoring training proposed by Berkeley and Recomini, called Q-Rock Deco. This intervention is made up of a series of steps in which work is done on monitoring, detecting, and repairing comprehension difficulties. These 5 steps are: first, formulating questions based on a title; second, reading or viewing the materials; third, checking if the question proposed at the beginning can be answered and proposing repair strategies in those cases where the question is not answered; fourth, detecting if there is anything in the text that has not been understood; and finally, check the answers given. In previous study conducted by colleagues in the lab, it was found that the application of an adaptation of this training was effective in typical population. It was decided to carry out a gaming-based version of this intervention, taking advantages of the fact that literature supports that the video games and new technologies provide a motivational environment that improves learning abilities. Some studies have been found to be effective in using application and gaming to improve reading in children and adolescents with hearing loss. That is why we decided to adapt the intervention we had already used in the laboratory to a video game and apply it to population with deafness or hearing difficulties. The main objective of this study was to improve reading comprehension in deaf and hard of hearing readers, focusing on self-regulation and monitoring of reading comprehension in the context of an online video game. Moving to the methodology, 9 participants were required from 5th and 6th grade of a preferential school for the deaf in Almería. To put the school in context, it is the reference school for deaf children in all the province. It is a school with a high level of acceptance. Participants were ages between 11 and 12 years old and had a degree of deafness varying from severe to profound. The school's communication system was both spoken language and Spanish sign language. In the slides below, you can see the characteristics of each of them. As you can see, 3 of them had cochlear implants, 4 had hearing aids, and 2 of them had no aids at all. Student 2, her main system was Spanish sign language, and student same 7. Design. Following with the design, due to the small sample size, it was decided to carry out a multiple baseline single case design. 4 sequences were created. A means baseline session and B means intervention sessions. In the baseline session, we work on playful activities related to reading, such as talking about their favorite books, for example. And in the intervention session, several texts were worked on using video games, following the adapted structure of QRAC decode intervention. The video game requires the simultaneous presence of an application so that while the participants are in the game, they remain in a group called through the Zoom application, where divided into workrooms, the debates are coordinated in a large group. Participants were divided into pairs or small groups depending on the school year. During all sessions, individual and pair work alternated. The aim is to create an active and a participatory atmosphere, to devote personal attention to each participant, and to encourage reflective thinking. All of this was based on interaction that encouraged cognitive development proposed by Aguilera and Mora Roche. In the intervention session, we work on text adapted to their level. This text has a length of 100 and 150 words and a Crawford difficulty level of between 4 and 4.5. This means that 4 to 4 years and a half of schooling are needed to comprehend this text. This test had an estimated reading time of between 5 and 8 minutes. After the end of each session, participants had to complete a homework form. This homework consisted of reading a text, answering questions about the text, and proposing strategies to improve the comprehension. These were the impact measures I shall be reporting later. The video game is set in a series of time travels through history, where participants have to achieve a series of milestones that lead to the final goal. The instructions for the task were in writing, audio, and video. This is an example of this essence.
Enhorabuena, equipo. Gracias a vosotros hemos podido hacer funcionar la máquina del tiempo. Muchas gracias por la ayuda. Hasta la próxima.
Formulate questions they can think about that test. Here you can see an example of instruction that the children receive in video game, but I can't show you now because of the time. As for the results, according to the number of correct answers, the following can be observed. In the upper part are the students who receive sequence 1. It can be seen that the score of these participants are maintained. In the lower part, those who receive sequence 2 are shown. In student 1, no improvement is observed, while student 2 shows improvement during the intervention. These slides correspond to the students who receive sequence 3. We don't see any improvement in any of them. In this slide we see the students who receive sequence 4. Both show an improvement during the measure collected in the intervention, but we don't have enough data to be able to conclude. As for the result according to the number of strategies, the following can be mentioned. Only student 2 shows improvement during the intervention. Here it can be seen that student 6 is maintained, while 5 and 7 show some sign of improvement during the intervention, although we have very little data to arrive at a firm conclusion. Finally, in this one, no improvement is observed in any of the participants who receive sequence 4. In conclusion, this game-based intervention did not prove to be effective. This could be since most of the participants had a low oral language proficiency, which could explain their low reading level. Their main communication system was sign language. Almost all students showed the same performance in reading comprehension measure before and during the intervention, although we see that 2 of the participants could have benefits from the intervention. This may be because student 2 had a higher number of intervention sessions despite the low level of oral language. She had the help of the interpreter. In the case of student 8, this may be because she had a better oral language level. Limitation. We had a very small sample of participants, all of whom had a low reading achievement. In addition, these participants were signers, so they had problems accessing spoken language. The intervention had to be conducted entirely online, so technical difficulties could have been a cause of the low effectiveness. We don't know a follow-up measure during the absenteeisms, the end of the academic year. Not all measures were available. This makes the intervention short. It would be advisable to work more on monitoring. For future work, to continue with this research, the intervention time could be extended to work more on monitoring. It could also be interesting to include hearing students and compare the two populations. This is the end of the presentation of this work. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll be happy if you could leave me feedback on my work as well as any suggestions.